Alright everybody, welcome back to our next video in this series. We are still doing the rebuild of the Crossroads RP server. Moving our way through the scripts as best as possible. Some of them we're going to batch, some of them I may not, some of them I may will have separate uploads for each one. That's probably going to be with these JG scripts. I'm going to bundle two of them together and then two more. Probably the mechanic and the handling will go up together as they're related. And believe it or not, the dealership and the garages kind of do go hand in hand, because if you don't have one connected to the other, you're going to have issues. So that's how we're going to go about doing this. Just so I can give each enough time to see. They're not hard to put in, believe it or not. I even looked at the option with them to use their they have an option you can do. It'll help you build the config for you. I don't really need that part, and I think they may have discontinued it since they made some new changes. But what we're going to do is just keep moving forward and get after this. If you guys haven't already done so, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and leave us a comment down below. The comments and that like does help with the algorithm with YouTube, and sharing helps me grow the channel. If you guys need help, please get into my Reckless Development Discord that is linked in the video and on the channel as well. Create a ticket over there. Now, if you're going to ask for some assistance, I don't mind to do it, and I usually don't charge unless I have to do the coding for you. The only thing I do ask is that if you do that, please grant me the help of making sure you're already subscribed and that you like and comment on all the videos. That way we can push it on out a little further. Not really trying to make money from the channel. I'm trying to grow it so I can work with more developers. That's my biggest thing here. And anything we do make from this goes back into development of our servers and development of our own scripts. That's the next thing I'm in my progression of things that we're working on. We're currently working on a script. It's going to be mechanic related type stuff. Not really going to put too much into it, but we're working on that now. That's actually in development. That's why I didn't have the video ready earlier today, is because I spent yesterday afternoon doing that instead of this video. I was supposed to do one set of these videos yesterday, so that's where we're at. But again, guys, like, comment, subscribe, help me grow the channel. Share with anyone that you know in the FiveM community that might need help building their server. Again, I'm always willing to help. In my Discord, jump over there if you want to get into the server. We do have the main server up and running for Crossroads RP. It's still a bit in beta testing, but we're at the end of beta. We're starting to kind of spread out. I'm going to make some changes to it with this new version, so you guys will see some of those changes as we get into the point past installing. So I could have already had all this done. Probably should have had all this done. But I'm taking my time so that I can make some changes, and I'm kind of waiting on a new couple of drops that's supposed to come down from some of these developers. But again, let's get after it. Today we're going to just skip ahead and do mechanic and the handling. Now I want to make sure that I removed the mechanic script from here. Management, yeah, I did. Okay, good. That's the biggest thing. Make sure your crap is not in there, guys. So what we're going to do is, like I said, the first two things we're going to do is these two. These will be the next video that comes out behind this one. Those two were actually sponsored by JG themselves, so we will put those in. Now, the good thing about JG is their setups are really, really good. With the mechanic and the handling, you really don't need a lot of extra stuff. It just is what it is. You'll do some coding and it'll work. With the garages and the dealerships, it does have a in-game UI that you use to set up the garages and the dealerships, like for personal garages, and to actually add the cars and set up the dealerships. You just have to make sure you have the job created beforehand. If you're going to tie it to a job, if you're going to tie the dealership to a job, you want to make sure you have that job created ahead of time. Okay, that said, let's just get after it. So we're going to start with the mechanic script. Right, let's get it pulled up here. All right, so we got the mechanic bundle here open. Let's take a look at what we've got. So you have all these. Most of the dependencies are already in with it, so you got to read me here as always. I'll show you guys that once it opens up. It's going to open on the other screen, of course. Let's see. All right. The only thing you actually need to grab, I think it's Oh, it's there. So you gotta have aux for your SQL. You gotta have auxlib, and then the JG mileage, which I already have over there. It does come with the script. That's what I opened first to make sure. They do have a full installation video, so you can go here and just run your way down. Basically, his stuff is not that hard to install. I think it does auto SQL. Yeah, tries to automatically make a regular. Okay, let's see. We'll check. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it for his stuff. I mean, it's not that hard. You put the items in, put the pictures in, and you're usually pretty good. His stuff is actually really, really good, other than creating your own mechanic shops. So, come back over there. There we go. So, again, we're going to drag all of these in. What I would suggest doing is just doing this. Rename. I use JG. You guys can use whatever you want. JG. That way I know what it is. Okay? Because this way... Oh, crap. What is your deal? Why is it open? Oh, did it open up over here? Oh, that's why. Okay. I gotta close this. Annoying. Annoying. Alright, so here's your bundle. We're just gonna rename that. G. Okay. Now, once you drag this into the server, it's gonna work right off the rip. If you put it in your scripts folder like I'm going to. Now, the only thing you really need to code in here is the mechanic. So what we're going to do is go in. Now, there are some stuff you need to install right here. So here's your database. You can run the SQL, and this is your inventory items. Now, I'm almost positive that his database runs on its own. Let me look again and see if it's part of it. Yeah, it's got an automatic installation. But if you get an error, you can go back and grab it and run it. All right, so here's your inventory items. So here's your images. We're going to go to QB, inventory, HTML, images, Control A, bam. Now, guys, you do everything the way you want. You do whatever makes you happy. Me, I say if you're using a panel server, you drag and drop. If you're on a VPS, I always say to copy and paste, so that way you keep a copy of what you have with your server, with your script. That way, when you go, if something happens, you can go and see what you're missing or whatever. Keep stuff together. All right, now we got to put the items in. So let's open that up. It's going to pop up on my other screen, which is fine for the moment. Then what I'm going to do is go to QBCore, shared, items. And remember, if you're using WinSCP, right click and open, so that way it opens up in Visual Studio. Now, here is this, and this is my engine builder project, guys. That's what we're working on, one of our projects we've got going. What we're going to do is go over here. Here is our engine items for this script. Now, you don't want to grab the bracket at the bottom because that just makes it light up the correct way, so that way everything looks right. So you're just going to grab everything but, and then we're going to go right here and we're going to do that. We're just going to copy that. We're going to go to our actual items list. Now this, like I said, this is my project. All this down to here is my project stuff. So what I want to do, because this server right now, we're using it for development work. Let's see, server items. Then I'm just going to drop this in like it would be at the top. Now you can go back up and put all this lined up. I'm not doing that at the moment. Now my other version of this does have it. And what I will end up doing before said and done is I will copy my entire items list, which I may have already done. Didn't I do that? I did. Okay. I'm just doubling over and showing you guys what I'm already done. That's right. We did this on the other video. So it just shows you how to do it. That's all I just did. So we'll just do edit, undo. There. That'll work. And then I'll just leave a gap in here for that because I want to leave a gap between my project items and my actual server. But that's how you would put it in. So now we're just going to save this. Right. That's good. Now that that's done, we're going to close this. And we're going to close that. All right. I completely forgot. Everything else is going that I'd already dragged all that in. All right, so now the next thing we want to do is the config for it. So you go into your config. Now with this one, you have a tuning configuration, which I'll start on that. I'll show you guys how that works. So in your tuning config, it tells you what everything does. So it's a good thing at the top. You got kind of like a key to work this stuff. So this is like your engine swaps. This is how you build your own engines, guys. So what you'll do is you'll have a name for the engine, an icon, which is what the PNG will be. When this one, you have to use an SVG for this part, because what will be, you'll change your PNG to an SVG and you'll install it into the script, and I'll show you where. This allows you to have a picture in the actual UI menu on the tablet. And then you'll have an info, an item name. Here's the item. And here is the audio for it, which is basically if you have an engine pack with sounds, that's where this comes from. And then restricted for combustion. Now this is your handling part. These are the parts in your vehicle meta that get adjusted to make the car go faster, slower, and whatever you decide to do. So these can all be different for every car. So you may have 15, 20, 30 engines if you want to. You can have as many engines and parts as you want. But you'll have to code them differently. The same, you may have levels of engines. The biggest thing on these a lot of the times is the sound. You want even if it's a knockoff, beta, vanilla, debadged, whatever you want to call it, version of a Charger. You want the damn thing to sound like a Charger. So you're going to grab that Charger engine sound, put it on a Charger version engine to throw it in. So instead of a Hellcat, you can put Demon Cat. You know, and that would be the engine that would go in that car. It would make it sound the way it needs to sound. And then this tuning is just an additional add-on to where you can make it give your car a bump if you need to. It does have info and all that stuff you can put on it. So that's how you do this. The tires are the same way. If you want to work on different kinds of tires, like off-road tires or whatever, that's how you'll do these. Brakes, brake force, it applies more brake force to the car, so it stops faster, supposedly. Drivetrains, turbochargers. Now, I do find that sometimes turbochargers can break the engine sound, so be careful, because, I don't know, we've had it happen to a couple of cars, so to kind of test the order you put stuff in. Some stuff you have to put in first. So I always suggest doing anything that doesn't have a sound first. So everything, tires, tuning, all that stuff first. Put your engine sound in last. So your engine goes last. That way that's the last adjustment applied to the car and the files, so the sound will stick. Doesn't always work, but I find that usually works 9 out of 10 times. There's some cars that you can't put a turbo in them. And that's pretty much it. Gearboxes, which is a manual transmission. If you have that, there's a way of doing it. I've not tried it a lot, but, you know, I have a hard enough time driving with my controller. So, but that's how you do this part. That's the tuning side of it. Now, I'll go ahead and open up the servicing side. Now, this is the config servicing, as you can see right here. Again, everything has a code at the top that tells you what it is or what it does. Lifespan in kilometers. So this tells you how long the suspension is going to last before it throws a code on the car and the car gets a service light. Brake pads, tires. This is stuff you want to change because, to be honest, 100 miles on an oil change kind of sucks. So you want to up these to what works for you guys. Same thing with the electric cars. If you run that, makes it, towards more realistic or whatever the case may be. It does take quite a while sometimes to run up a good deal of miles on a car inside the game, unless it's something they're driving all the time. So a lot of times you'll want less miles before that change. Maybe cop cars are the difference in it, but most of the time the cops don't pay for that, so it's not a big deal. And these are your mods. So this is the mod menu. You got repair, and these are the items required when you're doing these changes. So you've got performance part, cosmetic parts, dancing kit, respray kit, vehicle _ wheels, lighting controller. These are the items that the mechanic will need to do these items. Then you got performance parts, which are a little different. You have to have that part. So here's you got a transmission, street, sports, racetrack. These are all parts that you'll need. And then a lot of these are these are just upgrades. And then these are your cosmetics. Now all these fall under the cosmetic part. Okay. This falls under the performance part. So you've got performance part, cosmetic part, stance kit, these things, okay? So these are all your cosmetic parts. These are liveries, but it does came under cosmetics. So if someone wants a livery, it'll be a cosmetic part that you have to use to change it. Plates, window tints, wheel tops, horns. There's a bunch of damn horns. Colors, and then the tops of colors. And then you have the GTA base colors. And then your xenons. And this is all stuff you can change. If that's not the right color, you can change the hex codes on any of this stuff. Or you can add more to it. But they're numbered, remember that. So you got, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. You got 11. And then down here you have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then you have to go back up here to the top. And you got to find where 21's at. So 21 might be on further down. See, 21, 22, 23, 24, 20. See how it goes? And you just got to make sure if you're going to add to it, you're going to add it in the number system. All right, so there's that part. And then we'll close that. And then it's the most important one for this part of the thing is the config. Okay. Now, easy peasy, lemon squeezy here, guys. A lot of this is auto. If you have issues with it, you go back and change it. I did have some issues with mine on my server. I did get JG's help with taking care of it. And it was simply that the mechanics were continuously breaking bolts. And the reason it breaks the bolts, if you have the skill bar turned on, which is right here, if they fail it, they break a bolt. That's what's supposed to happen. My problem at the time was if I turned the skill bar off, it's still considered you failed and it broke the bolts. So if you guys are having that kind of an issue, let me know and I can send you that as well. I'll just zip it and send it to you. You'll have my stuff on it. You'll have to change out the mechanic stuff, but you'll have it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump onto my server. Hold on, I got it on another screen, and I'm going to just copy and paste that coding in, so I don't have to rehand code a bunch of stuff. So we'll go to JG. Where you at? JG, there you are. Mechanic config. I got a few parts I've got to change on this sucker. So what I'll probably end up doing is just copying out the entire config folder. So that's probably be my easiest thing to do here. So what I'm going to do is close this, and then we'll go back over here, and I'm going to back out, and I'm just going to take the entire config folder out. So I'm going to make this bigger so I can see my panels here. I'm going to move this back out to working. Because if something happens and I need it back, I can get to it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy my entire config folder off of the server and drop it in. There. And I can show you how I did when I set up my current mechanic shops that I have running. Okay, so what we ended up doing is we changed, I hand coded all the parts. Instead of running auto, you guys might want to just, if you look at the way this one's set up, then you can do it to your own. So I'll go slow as we go down, and you guys can see what we did. If you have that problem, then you may not even need me to send this to you, because this is the page that we worked on that fixed that problem. So I'll move myself slow, working my way down, and you guys can kind of see what it is, and you guys can change it. Now, I do have skill bars currently turned off because it's annoying. You know, mechanics, they like to just put it on and not have to fight with shit. Now, if you want it to be harder, you can do it. What I did was I turned it on. When you turn on the true, for every 10,000 you put right here, which that's just 1,000, it's 10 seconds. So you can make it, give them more time. I gave them 5 attempts, and then when it starts out, there's 5 of these in here. It's easy, comma, easy, comma, easy, comma. There's 5 of these skill difficulties in there, which means you have to catch, for every one of these that's inside of this bracket, you have, that's a letter or a number, whatever the case may be, that's you decide right here that they have to grab. So it'll be that little circle, and it'll come around, and they got to catch this letter in that circle. So if you guys use those circle skills, you know what I'm talking about. So the more of these you put on this line, and you can see it in the original coding, the more they have to do it each time. So like in the beginning, it's like this, easy, comma, this is what it looks like. Okay? And I took all those out and just left them down to the 1 because at the time, we couldn't get out of this. If I didn't turn on skill bar, they'd fail automatically. But if you want to use the skill bar, this is how you decide, okay, how long is it going to be, right here, how many attempts they get, and then right here is, should be down here really, I don't know why it went up there, but these are how many different times they have to do it each time they install a part. So for the original setup, they'd have to catch a letter 5 times to install that part, and if they miss it, they break a bolt. And if you do it ever how many times you got it up here, if you fail it that many times, then it will take the part and kick you out of the system and say you broke both nuts and bolts and you don't get it done. But here and then here you can decide if you want it to be WASD or 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to use there. Now this is your servicing, which I need to turn it back on. I turned it off on mine because of that issue. We didn't know how to fix it, so I just turned the servicing off, because that's where this comes into play, is for servicing. So we did that. This is your nitrous setup. This is for your stancing. I don't mess with stancing a whole lot because it will make your car look dumb, or it can break your car. Then they have to either try to fix it. If they can't fix it, you have to delete the car, and they have to get a new one, and it becomes the whole thing. These are your repairs. So for duct tape and mechanics, if this is allow people to fix their own vehicle if the mechanic's not on duty. If you get the tune item back, if you remove it, so like the engines and the stuff like that, I always put that to true because it's reality. If you install an engine, are you going to get that engine back? Yeah. Okay. Here's your, if you use the car list, I don't like them. You guys can use them if you want. I just don't use them. It's not a bad idea to have it maybe in one shop, just have one lift, just in case you have a car you can't get to a part and you can go under it maybe and grab it. That's only the thing. I don't usually have that problem with this script because everything's done at the front. Some cars have mid-engines and things. Maybe that would cause a problem. I don't know. But it's always an option you have. Or if you want that type of realism, I find that the lifts end up being glitchy or weird, and I just don't like them. And I have a lot of my mechanics say the same thing. Especially if you have a smaller mechanic shop, they don't have the room. See, this stops the red line. And you can read, everything's here. Let's see. Unique blips, all this stuff's in here. Here is now in the normal setup you have T/fix. I have tried to change this to T/ and just have fix. It didn't always take. It would still be vfix. So I think it may be hard coded into the script somewhere. So I just got adjusted to doing vfix. Mechanic admin, what that does is when you bring it up, it allows you to change the owner of a shop. That's it. Nothing different. Nothing different at all. This is what your plate will say when they're doing a preview. Let's see. This is for order deletion out of the tablet. Custom names and tuning menu, and no payment for employees. So you can disable it where they don't have to pay to fix the cars. I turn it off because a lot of the times the mechanics, some of these mechanics will say, what do you want done? They'll pull it onto the one lift that works for them, and they'll do all the work, and then they'll charge you what they want. They'll create their own invoice. Okay? These are your mechanic locations. I left Benny's in as a self-service. Basically, they can do the Benny's kind of things, nothing too crazy. Okay, then we have LS Customs, which is the one we use. This is the RFC modding version. and you can change the price multiplier. This multiplies by the value of the car, and then this is the percent value. So what it is, this is your percent value of the car. It's 0.01% of what the car costs, and then this is the price multiplier on top of that. So like for performance parts, you're going to get hit twice. On the cosmetics, you're going to get bumped twice. Stance and stuff is going to be 1, and then this one's going to be a price multiplier on top of that. You can take that off. I'll eventually probably take mine off just because of I'm going to allow my mechanics to set their own rate, and that way they have a little bit of competition between each other. You know, one guy might be higher than the other. You never know. But these are your little shops you get built in. Now, if you have your own parts store, you may take this out. If you want them to do their own crafting, you can take some of this out. Whatever the case may be, that's what this is for. Then you have different shops, like this is LS Tuner and service and items, and this is Gators. So like when you create a shop, like you see here, this one says LS Tuner, and that's the job. That's the way I do them. So this one's Gators, and this one's owned, and the job is Gators Garage. And then the logos you can change. We're working on creating new logos for each shop. Not hard to do. You can actually just go to ChatGPT and get them to make you one really fast. But that's what that is. This is the commission that goes to the mechanic themselves. Each one's different. And then your locations. This is your ever how many bays you want to have. Like this shop here is a small shop. It has 2 doors, 2 bays. That's it. Nothing extra. It's a little shop that's in Harmony, across from the bank. It's behind the parts store. That's what this shop is. And then again, you got your little shops that's built in, stores, the parts bin. Now, if they put parts in the parts bin, it doesn't ask them to spawn parts or get parts in their pockets when they're doing installs. So if they've got a bunch of engines and turbochargers and brakes and tires and what the hell ever, they put them in the parts bin, they can just put them in there. Make sure, though, you also go in and check your items list. You'll want to do, and I'll show you about the parts in just a minute. We'll just do that separate. So I'm going to save this. Did I change anything? Yeah, I did. Okay, I did. Okay. When you go into, let me go back and bring it up on this other screen, because this is something that does come up quite a bit. Inventory items. Okay. Now, on your items, so you got big items, small items, whatever, with your tires, this unique thing, this will make it stack or not stack. So like your tire replacements, you'll want to make this false because it makes it non-unique, which means you can stack them on top of each other. So like you got to have 4 tires for a tire change. Well, if those tires aren't stacked, a lot of times the system won't pull them. So what you need to do is make sure you change this to false. Anything that you'd want to be able to stack. Tires, clutches, air filter, brakes. Oh, engines, no. You can't stack engines. This stuff here you can't stack. You can't stack drivetrains. But these tires and these brakes and these tuning kits, you can stack those. Controllers, cosmetic parts, wheels. These things you can stack. That way when you put them in your stash, you can stack a bunch of tires in one. You got one slot that's got all your tires on it. Instead of having to have 4 slots to do, a car. And the problem is a lot of times these scripts won't pull tires unless they're stacked. So you have to go to the parts store or the parts guy and get 4 tires to do that car. As opposed to just having them in the stash all the time. It allows your mechanics to stack up and store stuff and prepare in advance. So they're not running around. So all this stuff, go through and look at what you have and decide, does it make sense? I mean, why wouldn't you stack tires? I mean, how many tire stores do you go to where the tires aren't stacked? They're not just laying out separate all over the floor. They're stacked on top of each other. So that's what you would do here. That's what that's about. That's why I wanted to mention that, because it is a thing. All right, so there's this one. That's the mechanic. Okay, now the props, that's just that. That's that. Okay, so that's the mechanic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this out and put it into working. What I'm going to do is, now that I've got that, I'm going to open up the handling file. Now the handling is just pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to it. An install is the database. Again, if the database doesn't install it yourself if you get a database error. The config on this one is the big thing because there's no real items for this one. You use a command. Config. Now, the thing about this one is it only works for admins unless you decide otherwise. I believe that's the only way that it does work. I'm almost positive. I think it's what they told me. I don't think I even changed anything on mine. I think I basically left it as stock. Let me check. I know I changed the job and the command for mine. Let me go back and look. JG handling. I'm almost positive the only thing I changed was the job. I use a different notification script. That's what it was. Yep, I use OK notify on this one. Just because I have it, might as well use it. I'll let that do its own thing. That's correct for me. Now, I don't use editor. I use tuner. Just my own thing. Editor admin only. So you can turn this off or on. I leave it as true because I don't want anybody to use it that shouldn't be. But I also, just in case I ever need to use it, I went ahead and I coded out a job for it, and it's already on my setup. And that's that. That's the job for this. If you ever want to turn the job on. The timing tool works pretty decent. It does tell you about your car's quarter mile. And I don't use a tool for it. I just use the command. And I just save that. Close that. Now again, that's the handling. That's pretty much all you're going to do for this one. So what I'm going to do is grab this and drag it back over to working. And I'm going to grab JG handling and I'm going to drop it in JG. That's basically all we're going to do to that. And then I'm going to bring this up. I'll back out of here. I'm going to go in my scripts. Now, what I do is I have a folder for all of my vehicle scripts. So, okay. Now, I do have a lot of stuff that goes with cars. So we're going to drop that in, like, engine sounds, and I have a vehicle controller and a few other things, that make it do what it's supposed to do the way I want it to do. Let's get it to load. Come on now. His scripts are really, really simple to install. He doesn't have a lot of extra junk that you don't need. Doesn't require a lot of extra coding. The SQLs usually, I don't think I even had to install mine. It just auto inserted it for me, so that's always a good thing. And you're good to go. The only thing you have to do is basically you have to do your jobs. Make sure you get your items and your pictures. That's pretty much it. And set up your own stuff the way you want it. You're going to code it out the way you want it. Each garage. Is every garage going to be able to do everything? You can just have garages that just do oil changes and tune-ups and stuff like that. You can have garages that do everything. You can have garages that just do switching out, adding engines, an engine shop. It just does engines. That's all they do is install engines. You can do that. They can even, if you want to expand that, you can have them build engines before they install them and make your own engines. That's one of the scripts we're trying to build is an engine builder where you actually start with metal and you have to machine your parts, and then you have to put those parts together into an engine, and then you put the engine onto a dyno and you set that engine the way you want it to be set within parameters to keep it from either not starting and stalling out to stalling out and blowing the engine. That's the parameters you're working with. Then you'll install that engine into the car and it'll have its own engine number that allows you to tune it the way you want it to be tuned, which will translate into tuning on the car, faster, slower, blowing the car up, whatever the case may be. You may put an engine in a car that's really, really overpowered and the wheels come off the ground. So it just depends on how you want to set it up. So let's minimize all of this stuff. Let me get my TX admin going here. Hold on just a second. Bring you guys back over here. I don't know what kind of shape the server's in because I haven't been on it since yesterday. Alright, let's do a restart. I was in and out yesterday working on that script. Kind of got to the point where I wanted to bang my head against the desk because I just can't get the UI to do what I want it to do. Alright, so let's go back up. Let's see, there's the smartphone. There's JG handling and mileage, mechanic. Okay, everything looks good. Alright, now I want to jump in and show you guys the tuner and the mechanic tablet really quick. And we'll expand on this as we move along as well. We'll be adding more parts to it. I'll be tuning it out more to match my setup for my servers. But that's an issue for another day. Let's see here. Come on now. Sorry if that was really freaking loud. Again, if you guys need any help, make sure you get in my Discord. But before you do, make sure you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and leave us some comments down below. I hope I may have to do a restart. Oh crap, I forgot. Let me see. I forgot that I had that broken script in there. And I do. Crap. I'll just stop it once we get in. No big deal. I've got a broken UI. There, see it pop up? I got a broken UI on my engine builder, and we're still trying to get it running. But it's okay. I'll get rid of it in a second. Let me get in. I don't want to never restart a script while you're flying in because it will mess up your shit. Let's see. Okay, get rid of that for a minute. I just stopped it. Alright, so first thing. We're just going to spawn a random car. T/car Sultan.
Hello, who is this?
Maybe because it was X.
I told you to call me later. I don't got time for this shit show.
Oh, I bet it's because I did that. Crap.
You're getting on
See,
my
let me. It's not even giving me the admin menu. That's where I stopped that script. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I got access denied because of that. Hold on. Let me just remove that stupid script. That one. Hope it doesn't make me code in all my freaking permissions again. Again, guys, these are no edit videos. I'm not trying to do a bunch of edits on them. I'm just trying to show you guys how it works. The good, the bad, and the other. Just because of everything doesn't go the way you want it to all the time. Some scripts are different. Some scripts are easy to work with. Some scripts will make your whole day fall apart because it will drive you absolutely nuts. But that's just how life goes. Some scripts will work perfectly just as things are. And sometimes you have to code in a bunch of extra crap just to appease the script. So we'll see what happens really quick now. Now that I took that off, completely forgot about that I had done that. There we go. That's what it is. Alright. Now we're in the car. What I need to do first is make sure that I don't get a it's off right here. If you guys do any type of streaming, make sure you turn off music volume because that you'll catch, believe it or not, I caught a copyright strike because of in-game music. Alright, so to do the tuner, which is the handling file, looks like it didn't load my database, which is fine. Okay. Yeah, it didn't load my database, which is fine for the moment. I want to see if it'll bring up the handling, but it won't. Yeah, it did. Okay. I'm not really worried about it because I'll load in I'm gonna load the other database anyways, but I'll do it in a minute. This you can still see how it works. Now this thing is a little bit dangerous if you're not careful. That's why it's set up that only admins have it unless you decide differently. You can change all the different parts of your car. The ones that are green are the ones that are useful. The ones that aren't are just, you have to decide what you want to mess with and what you don't. The biggest thing is like these three here. Let's see, spring and stuff like that, compression, tire grip. These are what helps you stay on the road, not slide out, and go into a curb and not flip over. This one here changes it from all the way to this side's rear wheel drive, or and then in the middle is all wheel drive, and then all the way to this way is front wheel drive. Okay, and then gears, upshift time, downshift time. That does help with racing. These are things you can tweak around with. Now this is the full editor here. Now you can also go to the simplified editor, which is this one, and it's more of a menu system that you can use, which I kind of like too if I'm in a hurry, because I can just do a few little. Now they've just added this part, so if your car's, if your car's flipping over, it tells you what to do. And that's the thing on a lot of these guys, you can click on them and it tells you what it is. Top speed, drive, all this wing. So like over here, if you're not sure about this, you can click on help. It's going to tell you all about it. Now the thing about it is you can do saved profiles for different scripts. So if you like what you've got, you can save as a profile. It'll put it here. So maybe it's something you want to use over and over again, or you're tweaking it, you can save them here. But the thing of it is when you do something, let's say you're going to just do that, okay? You go to hit apply, it's going to, this is your question you want to pay really close attention to, okay? And it's just this right here. What it reads, apply temporarily. So if you're just testing something, don't, that goes away with the car. Then if you click the down arrow, you've got, it saves to the car itself, right? And this one applies to all vehicles of this model. So if you've got your own truck and that name is, truck 1, but that's the name of the, spawn code, it's going to save truck 1 in the database, and whatever changes you made will go to that car, every car. So if you spawn 100 of them cars, all 100 of them will react the same way in the beginning until you do some coding. And once you do some coding on these cars, once you open this up, it's going to ask you if you want to start with the base coding or if you want to start from where it's at now. So you'll see a lot of different options. Just be really careful on these. This bottom one, I say, unless you've got a car that's flipping over all the time, right out the gate, it's just a problem. That car goes down the street and it flips over, or it's really retardedly fast, then you'll do that. That way it fixes them all at once. That's pretty much this. I'm going to discard changes. So that's the tuner. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we'll drive with a keyboard, so God help us if I make it or not. Haven't added any maps, but Benny's is there. So we'll go there. I don't think it'll show up for LS. It may. Let's see. Try that one. Because I've got a different map that I got it coded to. Let's see. Let's go right over here. Oh. There should be one like roughly here somewhere. There it is. I had it. Further. There it is. E, customized vehicle. There. So this is where you can do cosmetics, you can spray, you can add stuff on, take stuff off, performance parts, you can respray it, change out the wheels, you can add on all the extras that it comes with or doesn't come with, tires, whatever. This is what that part is, okay? Now, that's basically your old style Benny's menu. Now, you can also do, I'm gonna get out of this space because it's just claustrophobic. If you're a mechanic, you can do T/tablet, and it's gonna bring this up. So no matter if you have to decide what mechanic shop you're logged into, hit log in. It's gonna bring this up. The car's already connected because I'm inside of it. If you're not inside the car, it's gonna ask you to connect to that car, and I'll show you how that works too. If I'm outside the car, do the same thing. It'll come up this way. It's going to do log in. You're going to get this. It says no vehicle connected. You'll connect. It's going to pick up the closest car to you. Now, if someone's gone in there and hit the E menu and they've done something, it's going to show up on these work orders. It'll pop up here and you'll have to work on it. If you're going to do servicing, it'll bring up the servicing data. They have to drive it so far before it'll pop up, and it'll have a little car here, and it'll tell you about the tires and the oil and stuff. And then you got tuning. Tuning is where you add your parts. So brakes, tuning, drift tuning, drivetrains, tires, and engine swaps. See all my engines? I gotta redo my SVGs because they're too big. But see how I added all the engines in there? They just show up at the bottom, and then you got all the other stuff you can do. Then you can add on nitrous. And then you have invoices, so you create your own invoice. And then management allows you to check how much money's come through, how many orders, invoices, what have you. And then settings just allows you to change the tablet style, because there is an iPad version and a tablet version. And then you can actually set your own background if you want, so you can do a URL off of your Discord. So if you have a Discord for that shop, they can just have a page in there with info and have their own little logo, and they can put the logo that shows up on the tablet when they go to it. And that's pretty much it for that. Everything saves to it. You can run it on a dyno as well. It's a pretty decent little script. A lot of stuff you can do. It's very intuitive to what you would think it would be. And all around a really, really, really good script. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please get with me. I will help you out as much as possible. But that is basically the quick rundown of installing JG Handling and JG Mechanic. Running through the basics of using it. Pretty simple stuff. If you guys have used mechanic scripts, you know how the mechanics works of it. But if you guys have any questions, get in my Discord, open up a ticket. I'll help you out as much as possible. If you have the problem when you install it, that you're having the nuts and bolts issue, go back over and look at that version of the screen that I showed. If you still can't get it to work, let me know and I'll send you a copy of mine and see if that helps. That way you don't have to bother their tech support for something that I've already went through. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be glad to help you out. If you haven't done so by now, guys, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button and leave us some comments down below. That way we can help grow the channel so we can work with more developers like JG Scripts who have actually, I can honestly say they've been very, very helpful to us and helped me get this server going the way I like it. And they were really helpful with actually donating a couple of really expensive scripts to help me out. So they are pretty decent guys. I'm not just saying that because they did do that, but they have worked with us and helped me out. The actual guy, James, actually worked for like an hour with me to fix that issue with the nuts and bolts. So they are pretty decent guys. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out as much as possible. And I will see you guys on the next video, which will be installing the JG Advanced Garages and the JG dealership as well. Have a great day.